Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMTrading. Today is July 2nd, 2021, and today is Friday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, we're watching the Dow Jones continue to gain as the non-farm payroll results coming out later today. And speaking of which, the major economic events of the day, we have all day today OPEC meetings happening, which should affect the price of oil. Oil hitting new record highs yesterday. And then at 2:30 South African time, out of the United States, non-farm payroll for the month of June. And those are jobs that were created for the month of June. So that's a really important number. Now, taking a look at the currencies, the US dollar gaining versus the major pairs as it broke that support, but we'll see what happens next. Now, looking at the indices, the Dow Jones gaining, while the NASDAQ pretty much unchanged. In terms of the commodities, oil rallies to new record highs, while gold remains unchanged. In terms of the stocks, Microsoft is on all-time highs, not receding, and so is Apple. So we're going to take a look at those two stocks specifically. And lastly, looking at Bitcoin, retracing back to support. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go, starting out with the weekly of the Euro USD, and beautiful chart set up here. And now it's interesting because the Euro was the weakest versus the dollar, and now it's not receding any further unless it's just lagging behind. I'm going to take a look at that. And the reason I'm looking at this is that if you see here, we traded further down to 1840, did recede, not much of a change on the downside. But when we compare it, watch this, when we compare it to the Aussie dollar, the Aussie dollar did break that support at 74.80, and look what happened with the GBP, breaking it out even further down to 137. And this was our point. This was really the point where we thought that it would retrace to, and I said yesterday, it looks like the Euro's gaining much more momentum versus the dollar on the downside, and then the GBP finally, catching up as it's receding down to this 137-ish level. So the dollar getting weaker, the Dow Jones going high, that's a normal transition. Now, jumping first into the commodities before we go to gold. Okay, just one more comment on the currencies. If there is this major shift in the market today with the NFP coming out, I do expect a bounce. So just be aware of it. Okay, you need to know your levels and to make sure you're not trading out of those levels and respecting those levels. Put in stop losses and take profits if you do decide to trade this NFP. Now, looking at the commodities, gold pretty much unchanged, really not doing much, 1778. But look at oil. Oil back to its highs at 75, 76, 79. Okay, hitting almost $76 yesterday. Okay, so a major rally for oil, but then retracing. But look at that. It's still on an upwards momentum. Okay, that's the point of me saying this. It's still on an upwards momentum. So I'd like to see what happens out of OPEC later today to see if this is going to sustain this rally on the upside. Now, jumping into the Dow Jones, look at this. This was the one that rallied yesterday, right? It was the weakest one. And sure enough, it's been rallying since the beginning of the week. And now we're trading at this 34,527-ish level. Okay, so it's almost on its tops. I mean, this is it, right? So I'd like to see the continuation. We may see towards the middle of July into the end of August a sell-off in the markets, okay? Because the markets seem like they're overheating. There was an expansion, it was sustained, but now it seems like it's, running out of fuel. Looking at the NASDAQ, okay, tapering off, ironically. Okay, so this is really interesting because this was the strong one. This was the one that took us to all-time highs, 14,500. It's taking a breather. I'm not saying it's going to go down, but it's something to consider and keep an eye on. Now, looking at Microsoft, this is really important because it's on its dead highs, 270. Not really retracing. So I'd like to see if this continues to go higher later today. Now, Facebook also rallied almost to its highs, and Apple as well on its 135 high. So looking at today, I'd like to see if there's going to be follow through on the upside for all these type of equity stocks. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin. losing that steam at 36,700, which it had, and then retracing down to 32,700-ish level. This is support, okay? So if it does break this, our next real support is 30,000, okay? So just keep that in mind if this does happen later today. So lots of things happening today. I expect a lot of volatility, but what happens is in these type of environments, you got to trade responsibly, make sure you have stop losses and take profits in the trade even before you enter the trade, okay? Know your levels, know your support levels, know your resistance levels, and trade responsibly. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.